4.8 million votes were given in the election in 2023. They were given on paper ballots, they were stamped, and they were counted by humans and machines. I sent more than 700 requests for election information to all the municipalities in Norway and received more than 1,000 PDFs back. That resulted in full counting data for about 4.3 million votes. A lot of data, but not all. That was last election. This year has been an election year. I don't have all the data from this election yet, but I do ask some hard questions to all the municipalities. And so far, they have alerted the police, the National Security Authority, and the Police Security Service, PST, due to my investigations. And just to top that off, an anonymous source said to Lofoten Tidene that all of my requests for information, they were written by AI. I'm an AI, who would know? He also had some thoughts about me being a force from abroad, seeking to undermine the election. Yeah, I like these local papers. They are a little bit spicy in their content. But the point of this guy still stands. Nobody should be messing with our democratic elections. So why should you care? Well, democratic elections are important human rights. I think the guy from Lofoten and also the municipalities that are alerting me to the police and so on, we all agree on that. Nobody should be messing with these. You have the right to take part in your government. You have the right to freely chosen representatives. And you have the right to change them on a regular basis. So why is this guy here speaking at a developer conference of all things? Well, a lot of the Norwegian election is handled by computers. I think you know a bit about computers and maybe how to manipulate them. You might also know a thing or two about security. So in this talk, I will give you some information of the state of our elections, and I will be doing that from a security standpoint. So this is today's menu. We will see where I'm coming from with responsible disclosure, scraping public information. We will go into why the police was contacted, and we also look at some of the data that's been collected. My goal here is to have you learn the basics of election and the security surrounding the election. We'll start with some background information. We will then do an introduction to elections so we get everybody on the same page, even if you're not Norwegian. But I think most Norwegians still don't know how it works. So yeah, we will level that up with some election security. First with the physical bit and then into the digital systems that are being used. We will also look at mainly 2023 numbers because that's what I have. I'm still collecting the other stuff. And after that, we will do an election where you get to choose the next prime minister. In this scenario, I'm the current ruler, so just keep that in mind. All right, welcome. I'm Hallvard Nygård, as you have heard. My day-to-day job is as a software architect for Storebrand. I'm currently working with the Kron platform. Storebrand is a company with values. We have a code of conduct and ethics guidelines that have chapters on human rights, diversity, anti-discrimination, and anti-corruption. These are principles that align very closely what we seek and is the foundation of a democratic, trustworthy, transparent, and a secure election process. But this talk is not about what I do in my day job. It's nowhere near. This is about my after hours, where I dig into things, I scrape information, I request information from public entities. Sometimes I see some security issues or leaks, and then alert them about it. I will show you a couple of examples of that. So for years, I've had my eyes open, and if you have your eyes open on the internet will provide. So when I'm using online solutions, I typically, if it smells a little bit bad or funny, I usually have something to go on. I'm not doing like security reviews or pen testing. That's for other people that are hired. I'm just making sure my own data are protected wherever I use whatever service I use. In some cases, media have been contacted to put a focus on a specific problem. Can be quite effective. A specific example I want to mention is Smittestopp, the Norwegian contact tracing app that we had. The first version that was horrible for privacy. It was hastily implemented. It was collecting way too much data. Saved the location of everybody. So when that came out, I did my own research into the app. I decompiled it. I recreated the communications and then ended up with a scanner. The screenshot here, or the picture here, is for me in a grocery store where I was walking around trying to find people. Not the best thing to do in that scenario, but yeah, it's gamification of tracking people with an app where you shouldn't be tracking people. But the app, the Smittestopp, had some problems. Mainly what I was looking into was this static ID, so you could actually be using it to trace people over time. Me and many others spoke up against this app, and it got shut down, the first version, and that is a good thing. I also want to mention one of my hobby projects, which has been running for quite some time now. That is about scraping public information. I have structured data from more than 500 public entities and is providing this as a free service to everybody. The main use for this is investigative journalism, but you can either be a journalist or a citizen just looking into your own things, your own street. It's quite typical scenarios for use of this service. I also use it for election research, of course. Trying to dig into things, how are they really handling the stuff I send to them. But this talk is about election security. For me, that started when I read some tweets around 2019, around the tweets were around the election protocol, and there were some complaints being sent, there were discrepancies. They were looking specifically at Bergen, but like I've done before, I like to collect the data and look at a bigger picture, and I started to scrape these election protocols. Since then, I've looked into many things with election, and that's a lot of the stuff that I want to share here today to level up your knowledge about election security as well. So we will look into some of the data that's been collected. On the right here is me at the polling station. I've been working 2 times at my local polling station, helping my local community, doing a job. But it's quite rewarding to do that, and I can recommend that to anybody. You will make both the election more secure, but you will also help your local community where you live. For me, this has also given me some unique insights, and some of the findings have been based on stuff I've seen while I was doing that type of work. But this year, I also got a new unique experience. Not every municipality is happy with the stuff I report on or alert them about, and the stuff I ask them questions about. If you don't know Sandnes, Sandnes is a small place outside of Stavanger. It should be merged into Stavanger any time now. Yeah, I get into some of the reasons why we should do that, but they called people with guns to kick me out of the counting of votes here this previous election. I have some history with them, so that might have affected that scenario, but still, I was not doing anything very wrong. We will get back to Sandnes a couple of times. I would like to think that they are making themselves a feature of this talk by doing the stuff they do. And then a quick disclaimer. It's perfectly fine to ask questions to election officials, attend the counting of votes, You can send complaints afterwards if things are not being done the way they are supposed to, but do not try election fraud. My goal in this talk is to make sure that election fraud is not possible, or at least very hard. That is the goal. I don't want to do election fraud, of course. That is highly illegal. When I talk about some of the vulnerabilities here, there might be things I don't mention, so you might not get the full picture. So don't try this at home. If you do, you might be rewarded with years in prison, but now you've been warned. Okay, let's see what election is all about. Get everybody on the same page and how it's going in Norway. The two main factors in election: trust and anonymity. Everybody should be able to trust the result. They must understand how the election works and how the checks in the election are being practiced and done. It should be transparent so that everybody should be able to audit the result. That will mean a higher trust in the result. The outcome of the election, that should be very hard to change. It must require many steps by many people that are conspiring to change the result in order to actually make a difference. We also have anonymity in the election. That is very important to have a free election. You should not, under any circumstance, be able to identify what somebody else voted. This is so that we are not pressured into voting a certain way, and this will happen if we are not prepared for making sure that it's anonymous in the election. And if we don't do that, you might end up with signs like 50% off for yellow voters, or red voters are not allowed, or something similar. The Norwegian election, we have 3 elections, 2 every second year, county and municipal together. Most of my data in this talk is from that type of election, because that was 2023. This year it was parliament, which is by itself. There are 2 main types of voting: early voting and election day voting. All voting are on physical paper ballots, so there's no electronic voting at the polling stations. There are no computers you click on. You deliver a physical paper ballot. When you deliver your vote, you will be ID checked to see that you are allowed to vote and you are the person you say you are. In the early voting, you can vote anywhere in the country. So I could be in Oslo and vote. In that case, my ballot will be put in an envelope, enclosed, and then sent back to my municipality, where it will be counted. At election day, there's only voting where you live. That's because otherwise it wouldn't arrive in your municipality, and that's the only place where your vote will be counted. Okay, the votes are in. Let's count them. The first counting is done manually by humans. Most municipalities does this with the people that are working at the polling station, valglokale, when they close. The results from this first counting is what is delivered to media and so on to have the live reporting at election day. The counting, this type of counting will have a little bit of error, but it will not be a lot. There are some limits to what you can see there. This is the type of counting that is easiest to attend, because you know exactly where it is. It is when the polling station is closing, and that's very publicly listed. The second counting, that is done either manually or electronically. Most of the municipalities does this electronically, so they use computers, scanners to do this. And on the right, you can see some pictures how Stavanger organized this. They have some scanners on the far right of the room with 2 people manning it. And then on the left, there are some people getting up a ballot that is, the stamp might be crooked or something, and they will manually verify things. After that, there's another counting by the county election board. They will use different equipment from the other municipalities. And for this manual first counting, I want to give a big thanks to Patricia. She's a fellow security professional speaking up on elections. I want to highlight her important work on this. She was on the barricades in 2017 and is the reason why we have a mandatory manual counting today. She put a spotlight on some unreliable reliability issues with the electronic counting machines, and got the law changed on that back then. This is a picture of how manual counting could be done, usually sorting into different piles with and without stamp, and then multiple people are counting the same stack of votes. After the counting, all the results are going into an electoral record, a valgprotokoll. The record contains the mandate distribution in some cases. If it's the local election, this result is in a PDF and is signed by the local election board. That's the official document that they deliver. So there should be 357 of these for every election. So back in 2023, where you have 2 elections, you have more than 700 signed PDFs. Okay, election security. It's got very many aspects with it. I will touch on some, mostly around counting, but also and also mostly around election day voting. That has been my focus so far. For the election that has been this year, I've looked more into the pre-election day voting. So maybe that's a talk coming up later, but let's see. We'll start with a little bit of physical security. This is an example of when I see something, I say something and alert people about it, so that we can continuously improve this process and make sure it's better for the next year. This example is from this year before the election, and it's what resulted in some municipalities alerting police, PST, and NSM. So every municipality have this election stamp. A ballot need to be stamped in order to be valid. That's what the law says. So I've always thought about this as a security measure, because for me it feels like a security measure to have something stamped. It needs a little bit of doing to get that. So after being employed as an election worker in Gjesdal, my kommune, I alerted them that, oh, we are using the same stamp as last time. Why are we doing that? My security vibes, they are kicking off. So then I go back to my own and ask, can we copy it? How easy is that? So there's a couple of Norwegian vendors that will make you an election stamp. Some of them say they only sell to municipalities. Some didn't say that, so I ordered from one of them, paid with card. That got rejected. So they had called my municipality. They had said that I wasn't an employee there. Yeah, correct. My municipality also alerted the local police. So yeah. So stamps can't be ordered in Norway. But have you heard about the internet? It's a new thing. You can order things online and it will arrive by mail. So in order to do that, we need a logo or something to print on this stamp. All of the Norwegian vendors, they would do this for you as their sort of service. I only had this bad picture here of a stamp. I hadn't prepared to do this stunt, sort of. So I tried some AI tools to make it a little bit nicer. Some were somewhat successful, some not. So I ended up making this one, just tracing it out and trying to make it as okay-ish as possible. By no means perfect. I didn't aim for perfect. And either a real stamp on paper isn't perfect either, so it's quite okay. There are also a couple of things that I know about, which are intentional errors, just to make sure. So next day after ordering, I got the confirmation that my stamp was created. A week later, I got it in mail. I had paid a couple of kroner in toll, and as well. It arrived. This is my stamp here. I, of course, have it with me. So if you want to stamp something, I have some ballots here. If you like to have your own Gjesdal ballot. I tried it on my badge, but it's smudging out. So yeah, maybe not do it, but come out and try it afterwards. Set it down here. So yeah. So then a little test for you. Question. Here are 2 stamps. Might or might not be real. Who's the real one? Who's the fake one? Is the one on the left real? Hands up for the left one. Higher, 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 yeah. Some. The right one. Okay. We are not agreeing, but okay, fine. This is the fake one, which is my stamp. I didn't try hard to get it completely right, but as you can see, it's quite hard to tell when you have a bit of distance and you are looking at these hundreds at a time. They're just flying past your eyes. So my claim is that even a bad copy would not be spotted during normal counting. So then back to the questions. Can we copy? Can the stamps be copied? How easy is it? Well, it's very easy. It's per security by obscurity. So are they mitigating this by changing the stamp? Fair question to ask. So I know this offentlighetslova, the public information law. You have the right to request information from public entities like the municipalities. From my previous jobs on election, I have made a system for both asking and receiving and handling all the responses for when you ask all of the municipalities. It's quite a large thing. Made my own systems, but yeah, sending and receiving all these emails isn't a problem. So I sent a request where I asked for a picture of the stamp they used at 2 previous elections. Could be the same, could be changed. And how long have they been using that stamp for? Yep. There we are. Yeah, I didn't get many back. Here are some of them. So in my case, I used public information law to get this. But you can also see the same stamp if you are voting. You have it on your own ballot when you are voting. Could easily take a picture of it. You can also observe these stamps when you are attending a counting. If you are observing that, you can also see the same stamp. And I think it's essential that you can see it, so that you actually can verify that things are going okay. So many municipalities answered with a stamp. Some of them are here. A lot of them also rejected my request. They were basing it on security concerns, that I could do something criminal with it. It's a fair rejection, but I didn't push for getting them all. It's not the point. My point was proven that it's easy to access and easy to copy. This sparked a lot of discussions among election officials, the leaders of the elections in the local municipalities. They are in a private Facebook group, and they have discussed this subject at length. I got some pictures from this group, some of the threads they had. I was requesting information on how they were discussing it, so then you get some screenshots back. Pretty meta request to ask for, but they are obligated to give this out because it's not something they can reject. In the screenshot, there's a screenshot of the answer from the National Security Authority as well. So many have realized that it's quite easy to copy. They are a bit worried about this thing happening, and they will be more alert for the next election based on this. So this is one way of leveling up security awareness among election officials. Pretty alternative way, but it's a way that I think works, scaring a little bit. But I also did a normal security alert in the style of a coordinated vulnerability disclosure. So I sent 357 of these. In that, I recommend that they change the stamp each year, just like any nightclub would change their motive, color, or something similar between Friday and Saturday. I think municipalities also should change the stamp for each election. Also recommend that they keep it in mind for the risk analysis that they do each year, and keep that in mind. There are some things they can think about in this process. But on the other hand, the Directorate of Elections, they have stated that this is not secret, it is not a security mechanism, and there is no need to change it. So people think different about what I consider a security mechanism. So remember, we talked about counting in different places. The first counting is done at the polling station right after closing. Then it is transported and counted in a central location in the municipality. Many of them use 30-liter plastic boxes to transport this. So I have a similar box here. This one is also with some numbered ties, just like they do. Nothing special about those plastic security ties. I witnessed this exact setup in some municipalities, as this box here. Put it down here. And this is not secure. Here is a ballot stuffing video in 10 seconds. In this example, I have the exact same type of transport container as some municipalities are using. I have the same security ties. I have my own stamp. I voted for myself by accident. No, it's intentional. If you want to try out ballot stuffing, you can come up to the stage after the next talks are finished and try it out. It's a quite fun activity for friends, family, colleagues, and so on. And I've seen this exact type of ballot stuffing happening when I was working as an election official as well. One of the workers pried open the box and put in a sheet of paper. That was a summary paper. It was not ballots, but still. I didn't even think about it. This is, I've seen it. So this is insecure sealing of the ballot boxes. It would require you to have physical access to these boxes. Should of course not have that. But based on observation, they are usually left alone at some point during the process. But you would have to work for the municipality, I guess. So is this a problem elsewhere? I've seen it in one place. Yes. Again, back to the Norwegian local papers. I like them. Here is an example with the same type of plastic boxes, same type of seal on two places. I asked them about it, and they confirmed it, that this is how they do it, and this is in the process. It's being used as a transport container. I also had Sandnes on maybe likely, based on some pictures I had from the 2023 election. I saw some Claes Olsson 32-liter Smart Store boxes that was secured with 2 ties. This could have been temporary within the counting area, but they denied information on is this actually being used as transport. But then we had an election, and I got Sandnes confirmed. They are using these boxes, or very similar boxes. So then I sent a complaint showing this screenshots of the video you just saw. The election board have to answer to every complaint. This red section here is what they answered. They are also summarized with some other complaints I did. But in short, not the same box. So I went shopping. A couple of stores later, quite easy to find. This is not the exact same size, but it's the same brand and the same mechanism that Sandnes have founded at Europris. They also had a comment about me not having the holes in the box on the same place. So this is the exact same location as they have. So this is the same box. Hope we can agree on that. So here's the video for Sandnes. Also, again, 10 seconds. New type of box. In this case, I'm adding votes. And since I didn't think about that when I made the first video, I also made a second video for this box where I also pull out some votes just to make sure that everybody gets that point. So I pull out a sheet of paper and I put in another. So after a bit of training, I did this in 15 seconds, pull out and put a sheet of paper in. Again, physical access required. Based on observation, I think they are you usually have 15 seconds with the box alone at some point. So I could not talk about seals without adding a few seals. And these are special seals. So how can we avoid this type of ballot stuffing? A proper seal is a good way to go. And with proper seal, I don't mean a seal that is voting. It's likely adding more security ties or more points of contact if you're using like these flimsy plastic boxes. Or you could go another way and seal it all in plastic bags. This is an example from the pre-voting in Stavanger. Another way is go for the quality counting data, which is what we are getting into in a bit. In this illustration, I have multiple observers. I have the pelican inside the room. The pelican is an official observer that are allowed to go into so-called the red areas. And you also have you and me. We are standing out on a bit of a distance in the window there and looking in and making sure that everything is good. So, physical security, that is a bit hard to do right. But digital, that is easy, right? Any hands? No? All right, let's see what digital systems we have in the Norwegian election. I'll show this a bit on a conceptual level so that we get a good picture of it. When you place your vote, you are ID checked. This worker will search for your national ID number or something similar and find you in the system. And they will see that you have not voted before. Quite a good check. It is then registered that you voted. This is a key piece of information so that we know how many votes to expect when we open the ballot box and count. You yourself will put the vote into the physical ballot box, which is one of these boxes. Since we are looking at the electronic systems, we are now showing the electronic counting as our next step. This is the system that we saw from Stavanger, where they are having multiple people doing multiple jobs, feeding the scanners, checking, using the software. This is a desktop application that they are running on the machines that are being used there. This system had a lot of errors when it first came out, but I expect it to be fixed now because they are fixing things from year to year, of course. Both of these numbers, the number of expected votes and the sum of who voted, and also these results from the counting, the electronic counting, goes into the result. And we get this large PDF with a lot of numbers. Some of the numbers are delivered in other formats as well, like on the web page, the valgresultat. But the most detailed data are contained within this PDF. So these are the most important pieces when it comes to digital systems in the election. And if we look behind it, it's these systems. It's the EVA admin and EVA scanning. The EVA admin is a web application, typical Java application that is running with a Postgres database. So it's most likely similar to a lot of the stuff that people are making. Both of these systems are owned and maintained by the Directorate of Elections. So some questions. Can we audit these digital systems? Can we look into how they work? Are they secure? Can we change the result of the election without anybody knowing? Are some votes excluded, maybe for a technical reason? Can we add votes somewhere? What can we really check? I've tried for quite some time to get an answer to this main question. Can we audit the systems? So let's start with some basics. Do we have the source code? Good place to start. Do we have it? No. We have source code for parts of the election systems, but we are missing essential files to run it. The source code is also no longer being updated due to a new security law that made this national security interest. So the last version is from 2019. My trust in election systems goes down without the source code. As I said, the argument against is national security and that criminal activity can happen. I have the argument turned around a bit. I think this code is the procedure for how the law is executed in practice. Somebody makes a law, how are we actually doing it? If this was a human that was doing some part of the law, we would write a document. This is how we are doing counting, for example. And that human would most likely do it like that. But we would have access to that procedure to evaluate how it's actually. Is this a good procedure? Should we fix something? Is there some vulnerability here? And so on. I spent a lot of time trying to get a hold of this source code, requesting information on it, and so on. But I've chosen not to spend more time on it. Because can we really know if it's the same system that is running? And should we really trust these systems? Is it the same version that is running? When staying anonymous in the election, I don't think you can, in a good way, make it verifiable as well. You could do some signing of the votes, but then you lose a bit of the anonymity quite quickly. In a digital system, we only need one place exploited to ruin the whole result or ruin the trust of the result. If somebody thinks it's wrong, then that's enough to lose the trust. This image here you've been looking at, this is a picture from production. It is me that is logged in. This is as my work as an election official. This is not a security issue unless you consider me an issue, which could be fair. All right, I know all systems are buggy. I code, I make systems, I work with systems, I make systems, and I know things go wrong. This also includes election systems. In 2023 election, there was at least 2 instances of like code bugs that was making its way into production and was visible. I have read the incident report from that. The first one was a critical issue in Oslo. They have had an emergency release for that bug, and that resulted in another bug, another place, and the second one was found by me in the electoral records. Since there's been another election, I have another slide for this. There are also some bugs this year. The one I thought was quite similar to the one I found in the last election is this one, a display bug on valgresultat.no. The numbers are way off. This was likely a display issue of some kind. So I kind of expect systems to be a bit buggy. There can be bugs. We all have bugs. But these are bugs without the intent to change the result. But still, they show a different result suddenly, and the trust in the systems might go down. So I would rather ask, can we audit the election without the digital systems? I think we should. I had this flowchart a little bit back. Now I'm adding in the human counting that we actually are doing. We are demanding that it's being counted by humans the first round. And then we want to check that result against the result that is being displayed on the pages and in the PDFs. This is all possible since the manual counting was being required back in 2018 after pressure from professionals that understands. We will first look at the data collection from 2023 and then look at some discrepancies I found by comparing these results. This meeting could have been an email. Well, these emails could have been an API. Due to lack of transparency on important pieces of election data from the Directorate of Elections, all of these records need to be collected, all of these PDFs, by asking each of the municipalities. That resulted in more than 1,300 emails being sent. A lot of this is reminders, nagging for the information, when am I getting it, and so on. But still. And the replies you get can be answers to a question. It could be the correct PDF. It could be something else. So I used some OpenAPI answers, APIs to read all of these emails and summarize them, and also extract data points from them, like interviewing the answers. Are they answering so-and-so, which is what I expected. So in a way, I made a missing API, and also integrating that over the very ineffective email channel, email where the municipality is answering. So it's slow. A lot of them answered for the 2023 election, but not all. But after all, I want to look at the data mainly. Luckily, I want to show improvement where there is improvement. And on this point, there have been some, I would say, accidental improvements, because they started digitally signing the PDFs. So a lot of the municipalities are digitally signing the PDF, and then you have the raw document as well inside that one. So as a side effect, they are then publishing the digitally signed PDF, and I can just scrape the information from there. So 229 municipalities have done that for the election this year. So luckily, we don't need an answer from them. They also made some improvements to the format. So yeah, I like to show that things are moving, but it might not be for the reason that I wanted it, sort of. But let's look at a discrepancy. This is from kommunestyrevalget that was in 2023. Hallvard kommune, they found 95 extra votes in the final counting. A seat changed between two other parties from the first counting to the second counting. Was this a careless mistake or a deliberate altercation of the outcome? Nobody really knows. Their explanation for what they did and how they checked this discrepancy was checked by scanning twice. So they ran the scanning computers. They said it was this is the result, and they trust that result as the final result without checking more. I think this is a typical example of what we can see as trust in computers among election officials. They are quite trusty to this. The computer said it was right, so it must be so. If we zoom a little bit out, we had 22 of these cases where a seat changed between the two counting of the votes. 34 municipalities have more than 1% difference when they counted a party the first time and the second time. That is quite a lot more than is expected of this type of manual counting. Should be a lot less. It can be some, but yeah, that's a lot. In my data, there was 31 municipalities with indications of ballot stuffing, meaning that there were more votes in the ballot being transported, being counted, than the number of people who voted. Luckily, 17 of these was due to the bug. That bug made this indicator go way off, but there are still some others. A couple of them have been explained in the media, but still, quite a lot. For Rogaland, I did a separate study. You're not meant to read this, but you can maybe see that there's a lot of red here. I tried to get a hold of data to see, can we really check around this digital system by saying, oh, we don't trust it, let's check the bubble around it. Many red boxes. Let's go to the summary instead. 5 out of 23 municipalities in Rogaland can be audited outside of the main election system I asked for notes from the counting, or like the summary sheets and so on, preferably a handwritten one, because I trust that that's a good copy, like the one you see in the picture here. When asked, some of them said it was thrown out, it was shredded. Comments for where those notes are. So even if we do this type of manual counting, we are not keeping a hard copy outside of the system, the digital systems, so we can't really check that on a separate basis. I think it would be a cheap insurance to keep this kind of data. And for this election, I asked them quite earlier to try to get a hold of more of this. But I have yet to go through the results because they are quite manually. As you can see here, this takes a lot of work to do. Yeah, but still, it's quite hard to scale an attack against all these paper ballots and the many places of counting. You and me might collude together and change some votes, maybe 50, maybe 100, maybe 200. I think it maxes out quite quickly, but you would need a lot more if you would actually change the result. Unless you hit the digital system, where you only need one vulnerability to change the result. All right. So should we do electronic voting at the polling station, or go all the way and do online voting? Wouldn't it be easier to implement security once? We are going to do a demo. You are going to participate. Your participation here is key for the learning. It's part of the experience. So let's go. In this example, just keep in mind, I'm the existing ruler. So, yep. See if we can switch over. Votes are coming in. That's good. You can still vote if you have it open, but I'll continue so we don't get left behind on time. None of the above is the winner. That's good. Please vote for me. This could have been, like this slide we are seeing now, this could have been the official valgresultat.no, maybe. Or it could be something that was presented in the media. They're using the same source for the information. Can we be sure that these results are correct? The people that was present during the counting of these votes could have verified that, this is the result, but nobody is present there, it's just a machine. So for an online election, you would have to trust whoever is running it. So let's move on. I think I'll do it like this. So as some of you might have figured out, ahead of this election, the Pope said that I would make the life very hard for the iPhone users. It's a very constructed case, but yeah. In a survey that was done, it showed that I would likely the people who voted for me would be Android users. We need fresh blood. Okay, some of the comments were way off, but there was a survey done. And as you can see, this is something that some of you have seen. I heard you make some noises here. That's good. So all the iPhone users got this message. This is an error message. Filtering undesirable voters is the code call in the fine print here. It's bad security practice to leave stack traces on in production, but my developers on this aren't too good. If this was a real case, you would of course just get a success message and moved on with your day. But your votes were not counted. But I do have the counts, so the votes are changing a little bit. Still nobody wants to do an election here. Fine. But excluding voters. In this example, I excluded something very generic to get a reaction from the crowd. I knew some of you have iPhones, of course, so that's what I aimed for. It could have been other things like an IP address. Maybe everybody from Sandnes is getting banned from this election. Could have been maybe something like Starlink or like a specific operator. It could also be browser language. That is quite powerful. Everybody that's got Swedish or French as part of their browser settings might be excluded. These are things that you can do. And yes, you can vote twice. It's not a secure system. It could also aim towards more like technical reasons, like cookie handling. Maybe you have a very privacy-oriented browser that is quite easy to target with some cookie settings. You could go for like maybe rooted phones, like they did in Smittestopp. They banned all the rooted phones from using Smittestopp. Is that something we want in society? I don't know. You can go for a very, very small subset of the voters by targeting, and you would not. It would be just like targeted ads, and nobody else would know about it. Not even you, most likely, because you would just not see that error message. And we have a couple that opened the privacy policy. 3 actually read it. You know what to do. I'll buy you a beer afterwards. Let's get back to the slides, if we can. No, that might be it. We are back. Yes. So I have some backup slides. Of course, this is a demo. It could go wrong. In my case, I can actually do a backup in the slide deck. A crash could actually happen in a real election, and that's quite important to know about. It could happen, and with like the national tax returns, we have seen those being announced on a single date, and then everybody crams into the system, and it goes down. That happened again and again. Now they spread it out and so on, and have mostly mitigated this issue, I think. But is this an acceptable risk in the election? We can't really spread everybody out. A lot will be voting right before the deadline. Just a question. So we just click through it. So as we saw, it is quite a lot of possible attacks against online voting. The attack surface is so much larger, but I think the most important one is the social engineering part of it. Who is doing undue pressure on people, who is present when you are voting in your sofa, in your living room, or wherever you are, who is actually voting. Is it the right person? I don't know. And if you do online voting, would you call in by telephone and say, I vote for so-and-so, and just trust that the receiver of that call checks the right boxes and follows the correct procedure? It maybe puts it a bit to the point, I think. The Norwegian government is investigating and collecting information on this. They want to see if this is something that we should do. There was a meeting, I recorded that one and was present. Some of the arguments for it is that some people will be able to vote in an online election or at electronic voting at the polling station. If you are blind, you must trust a bit more in the election. If you have other disabilities as well, then yeah, you already have this trust problem. But I hope you have some arguments for online election and online electronic voting based on this. I also have a video that I like to recommend. This is quite a summary. I think it's more or less to the point. This is also appear on the last slide. Usually in my talk, I call for all of you to go and observe the election, but it's a little bit far away now. But as I said, you are allowed to do this. You're allowed to take pictures, and that's quite okay. But I'll rather show some pictures and some information from the election that was. I was present at a lot of places, both in Sandnes, Stavanger, Sola, Rogaland, and other places. So in Lillestrøm, during Java Zone, I was standing on the bus stop taking pictures of their screen. They were then viewed. This is the EVA admin that I was talking about, and they would have seen information on your national ID number and address on that screen. They fixed it the next day. Had a complaint about Gjesdal. Their pre-voting location was in the entrance of the shopping mall. If there was a queue of people voting, then if you were just entering the mall, you would be pushing into people, maybe inside the booth, the voting booth. This has happened. I don't think this is a suitable location for a good and quiet election. Another place I was in Lillehammer during Sikkerhetsfestivalen. They were, I think, the best place. They were very open and were being transparent with me. They had a good leader there that set a stage for it. So I was able to watch them opening the ballot and do a preliminary count and also sorting out the stuff that are going to be mailed. But they did leave me alone with a ballot box. I was alone in that room. I don't recommend leaving me alone with ballot boxes. Promised Sandnes as a recurring guest here. After the 2023 elections, I had some complaints. I was not able to observe the counting because they had organized themselves in a way that wasn't good. This year I had more complaints, but they had fixed the stuff from last time at least. So just minutes after walking into Julebygda, I was going through my checklist, and one of the first bullet points I have is, how is things being sealed? But there was no seal. So this polling station, they had forgot to seal the ballot box. That is illegal. After observing this ballot box, unsealed ballot box, and asking some questions, we moved over to the phase where they were actually counting. I wanted to take pictures with people. Sandnes kommune thinks that they are allowed to say no to that. We disagree, and they called armed police to kick me out. So this is a highly illegal picture you are seeing. You shouldn't be seeing this. Now, they said it was too disruptive. We can argue about that, but it's mainly about them not wanting their employees to be pictured. I don't think they have that right, because this is public. It's a very public thing to do, to count the votes. I'm not there to publish any of their faces. I'm there to see how they are doing the counting. So they have, in their responses, said that me being on this stage, giving other people information, which is like the definition of journalism, that this is what I'm doing now. That is not journalism, and it's not valuable to society. I hope to resolve this issue in good time for the next election, because picture taking is quite valuable. I've used a lot of pictures to see how are they doing it, how are they sealing it, because you might be thinking about things after the fact. So yeah, I have more Sandnes stories for the party tonight. If you see me there, just come and ask. Now it sounds a bit scary to observe the election. It shouldn't be. And I think it's a bit targeted towards me because I'm asking a lot. I tend to ask some hard questions. There was another guy at Hana that was perfectly fine to take pictures and wasn't bothered at all. So we are going into landing. We had trust and anonymity as the most important things. Undue pressure is important. We looked into how the security and election actually works, how the counting and that's being transported. We looked at some numbers from the 2023 election, and that these can be indicators of fraud. It's most likely sloppiness, I think, but let's make sure that it's being improved, and there is some room for improvement. We had a demo. I excluded some of you. It's quite effective to understand that point. You can be excluded, you can be targeted. This would of course be silently ignored errors. Since we have little to no insight into the digital systems, my biggest scares in the election are therefore in this order: online voting, that we introduce electronic voting at the polling stations, or that we lose the human count of the ballots. I would not trust election with these. I hope you gain some insights into elections. I'm here all conference, so just hook me then. I will do questions after the next talk, because Sten is going to do a great one after me. After that, after he's finished, you can also come up and stamp your conference badge or do some ballot stuffing. Again, fun activity for friends and colleagues. Thank you for your attention.